my name is Will Bro, and this is the first episode of my two-episode podcast series where I will be discussing the increasing problem of climate change. Global warming, or climate change, is the slow heating of the Earth due to the radiation of the sun being trapped within our atmosphere because of the high amounts of carbon dioxide that humans have created. In November, there was a climate report that was given to Congress as a part of a required national climate assessment that occur every few presidencies. Donald J. Webbles is an atmospheric science professor at the University of Illinois, and he was the lead author on the most recent report that went to Congress. He says that the first notion of climate change was seen by a chemist back in the 1890s, although scientists really started to look into this problem in the 1960s during President Johnson's time. The first national climate assessment was created during George Bush's presidency in the 1990s, who recently passed away. The assessment was to investigate how climate change is going to affect the American people. The past assessment that Webbles was a part of included the report that was over 2,000 pages long and involved over 300 scientists. Webbles believes that climate change is one of the biggest threats to humanity and hopes to see change in our government and how we address this issue.
And we all donate our time. It's not like we're not paid to do this. It's because we recognize this is a very important issue. Climate change is one of the most important issues facing humanity, and it's very important not only to changes we're seeing now, but it's going to be really important to our children and our grandchildren. And I feel that we need to leave an important legacy about how we're trying to deal with this.
Webbles also says that we can see the effects that climate change is having in the weather patterns that are occurring. He says that we are not seeing more severe weather like hurricanes and thunderstorms, but that when they occur, they are becoming more and more severe. He says that the severity of hurricanes are now due to what we have done to our planet. Jeffrey Frame is another University of Illinois atmospheric sciences professor who says that we can see the effects that climate change is having on our very weather that's happening here in Champaign.
What climate change is it's a warming of about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 degree Celsius over the whole world over the last 100 or 130 years. Okay? So we can't just look at a few years and say, oh, well, this is climate change. But if we think back to the last several winters, last winter ended up being very close to average. We had a very cold period around Christmas. March was very cold. And then January and February were relatively warm months in terms of the winter season.
He believes climate change is affecting our weather patterns as well as our average temperatures.
And then if we go back to the 2 winters before that, 15-16 and 16-17, both of those winters were much warmer than average. And then the last really cold winter we had was the winter of 2013 into 2014. That's really the only really cold winter we've had around here since really the late 1970s.
Andy Sima is a regular college student who is also very concerned with the growing problem of climate change. He is also the fundraising chair for the RSO Students for Environmental Concerns, which happens to be the largest and oldest RSO in terms of sustainability at the University of Illinois. This group focuses on 4 main actions, which include political action, divestment from coal, making businesses more sustainable, as well as looking into urban agriculture. He is also very fearful in terms of where the U.S. is going in terms of how the government is going to deal with the growing concerns of climate change.
For politics in general, I'd like to see more of a shift towards acknowledging the obligation that we as a country have towards finding solutions to this issue and acknowledging the fact that it's not just the world in general, it is going to be American citizens that are already feeling the effects of climate change.
With all the evidence that is shown of how climate change is happening and how much it is progressing, many people, organizations, and governments are taking action. Scott Willenbrock is a professor of physics at the University of Illinois, and he also works with the university in terms of making the campus more energy efficient. The university has a sustainability council that looks for and implements ways for the university to decrease its carbon footprint. Professor Willenbrock is a part of another committee that brings ideas to the council. Willenbrock is a big believer in solar energy, but he's also a big believer in geothermal energy, which is where heat and air conditioning can be used and then stored within the Earth's surface.
If this room that we're in right now in the summer will be hot, we want to cool it down, we're going to remove heat from the room. Okay? And where does that heat go? In a conventional air conditioning system, you vent it to the atmosphere. And in a geothermal system, you dump it into the earth. So over the course of summer, you're actually heating up the earth. Beneath our feet, you're heating up the earth. And then in the winter, you turn around and use that heat.
That is all the time I have for this installment. Please stay tuned for my next episode where I will go more into the ways that people are making changes in order to really help deal with the problem of climate change.